Prepare for a variety of pharmacy careers at St. Louis College of Pharmacy. See more at UHSP.edu.
They legally changed my name?
Everything is hotter than summer. You have Gnostic theoreticians, the first Paulinists. But nobody really knows. It's hard to tell. You only have copies of the Pauline epistles in the early 3rd century, shortly after about 200. And yet even these dates are in dispute because a lot of them are settled by means of paleography, trying to set up a dating system based on the style of handwriting used in the copies we have. And we used to think that was pretty ironclad. And now scholars like Brent Nongbre argue that no, you jump the gun, you're dating all these things too early. The evidence is not that convincing. So could be from the 40s to 100 years later. One thing is, when did Paul live? When did he die? Traditionally, they say, well, he died around 62 AD or CE. Nero beheaded him. How do we know that? Where does that come from? Well, that's mentioned in some way in a book called The First Epistle of Clement. But there is no name on that document. It's just tradition that says that Clement, the Bishop of Rome, wrote it. It is a hugely long, I think 60 chapters of all kinds of stuff that kind of look like people kept adding to it. And it's the little it says of Peter and Paul is that they both died because of envy or jealousy. Now, what is that supposed to mean? It doesn't really explain it, but we have several apocryphal books of Acts. There's the Acts of Paul, the Acts of Peter and Paul, Acts of Andrew, Matthias, John, Thomas, and so forth. Well, in 2 or 3 of them that pretend they're telling you what happened with Paul, kind of adding it on to the book of Acts that's in the canonical New Testament, they do talk about the martyrdom of Paul, and it is under Nero, but it explains what the envy or jealousy was. These books have Paul teaching what's called encretism, that the celibacy gospel, that the original sin was sex, and to be saved, you have to renounce it. You can keep living with your spouse, but don't touch. And that's the only way to do it. And several of these books say that. And Paul, for instance, is preaching that. And women who are married or engaged hear this and say, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I want spiritual renewal. This is the way to get it. Go, Paul. Well, their husbands and fiancés are not too thrilled about this. And they happen to be highly placed. They have the ear of the governor or the king, and they say, look, you got to do something about this guy. He's some kind of charlatan who's alienating our wives from us. And he says, okay, and imprisons Paul. And eventually this leads to his martyrdom. The preaching that you can't have sex. So he dies, and in the Acts of Paul, he is beheaded at the order of Nero, and then comes walking back in the room with his head firmly attached and says basically to Nero, you're next. And he leaves, but then his disciples, he's still dead somehow, and his disciples go out to his tomb and find that there is an incandescent circle of light around the door, and there's Paul. He's alive again, and he ascends into heaven. What? This is our documentation for the martyrdom of Paul? Come on. It's obviously fantastic fiction. Yeah, you get the same kind of thing with the Apostle John. They boiled him in oil and it was just a warm bath. I mean, obviously fake legendary material. And I say we don't really know when Paul died. Do we know who Paul was? There's another biggie. There is a theory that I have to take very seriously. F.C. Bauer and other great New Testament scholars noticed that Paul seems to be doubled in early Christian literature, that he seems to be the same guy known as Simon Magus, Simon the sorcerer, who's mentioned in the book of Acts and various other things. He seems to have existed. Josephus, the historian, mentions him. He was part of the entourage of some of the Roman governors of Palestine, and he was sort of a Rasputin figure. He taught Gnosticism, etc. Well, Gnostics claimed that Paul was the fountainhead of their teaching. They could even tell you which disciples of Paul taught their gurus. But the Catholic Church Fathers said, oh no, Simon Magus was the root of all the heresies. Sort of sounds like they're talking about the same guy. And there are various reasons for this. I won't petrify you with them, but I think that it's very likely that they were the same character, and that neither one of them wrote any of the epistles with Paul's name on them. Now, why is that? Well, there seem to be anachronisms if you measure them by the traditional date of his death. In First Thessalonians, and I think in Romans also, there are references to the fall of the Jerusalem temple in 70 AD as a past event. Well, that doesn't quite fit. Either Paul died later than we thought, or there's similar problems with John the Baptist in the Gospels. He apparently died around 36, whereas Jesus is supposedly crucified around 30. Well, the same thing here. Who was the intended audience of the Pauline epistles? There's this great quote, I think, from either Samuel Neighbor or A.D. Lohman, who were like Van Manen. They rejected the Pauline authorship. And he said that to imagine, I mean, given who the Galatians were, way out in the sticks of Asia, to imagine Paul writing the epistle to the Galatians with its arguments from allegory and this and that. He says it's like imagining Hegel lecturing to New Guinea savages. Like, is there any way that this was written to the bumpkins and hillbillies out there in the Mediterranean world? Well, okay, that implies what, I believe it's Philip R. Davies, recently deceased Old Testament scholar. What he says about the Old Testament books, I think, applies equally to the New Testament, that these were not for popular consumption. I mean, most people couldn't have had a copy to read. I mean, there weren't any printing presses or anything. It was written by scribes for other scribes. For instance, you can pick up, like comparing the Gospels and assuming that Luke, for instance, used Mark and added things and changed things. If you look closely, as Hans Kanzelmann and others have done, you come up with surprising patterns of redaction or editing, saying, I think this is what Luke was getting at, and he was trying to change what Mark said. I mean, it's really convincing, and a lot of scholars are convinced. Well, who could have recognized this? I mean, common fundamentalist readers today who are personally quite intelligent, they have their own copies. They're oblivious of it. It's not because they're stupid. They just have a different kind of popular reason for reading it. Oh, I want to see what the Holy Spirit has to say to me through the text and all that. You're just not going to notice the kind of differences. You may say, well, this is odd, differs here, but who cares? It's the Word of God. I'm not interested in the picky stuff. Well, that implies that these books were written for people who would get it. And that would have to be scribes, like rabbis, or just copyists of the text, the only people who could have any kind of close familiarity with them. And So who would that be in the Church of Corinth, for instance? Probably nobody. There's a difference between narratees and the really intended audience. That is, if it isn't really written by Paul and it's not really written to the rank and file Corinthian church, though that's what it says, right? You're dealing with something that's a kind of a fiction. And when it says, oh, Corinthians, this and that, that's like Paul talking to the Athenian philosophers in Acts 17. It's really a kind of fictional setup. Who is it really written to? Well, Gnostic theoreticians. The first Paulinists we actually know of, the first Christians that defined themselves by these writings, the first ones who ever wrote any commentaries were Gnostics and Marcionites, who had radically different theology than what became Catholicism or Orthodoxy. And there is a surprising silence by early Christians. We have some of their writings in the early 2nd century. They hardly mention Paul. Justin Martyr, who wrote voluminously, he never mentions Paul. Others seem to be studiously avoiding him. How's that possible if he was so important as we always think? Well, apparently they either never heard of him or didn't like him. And you can tell that in Acts and in 2nd Peter and other writings, there are much later attempts to sort of bring him into the fold by reinterpreting him. That's very clear in 2nd Peter. And I won't go into all the reasons for it, but this implies that it was written by and for Gnostics and Marcionites. And I think that's true. Then you have some, like the pastoral epistles, written by Catholic Christians later to try to co-opt Paul and those letters by revising them, interpolating them, and giving you a framework to understand them in a kind of a safe way. And so it seems to me that it's just fiction to say, oh yeah, these were written to these rural and urban churches, congregations. Probably not. Probably just an elite group. Who else would have had the chance to read them?
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Give me a Yahoo in the chat if I can be heard. All praises to the ever-present Creator. All praises to the ever-present Creator, the all in all, that always was, is, and ever shall be, the Great Spirit. All praise. Good to see you, brothers and sisters, in the building. Bless up, bless up. That was Dr. PhD Robert Price. Chopping it up about Saul of Tarsus. As y'all see, there's an up-and-coming debate between myself and brother Proorizo 1 over at the Source Debate League next Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be cordial, not even cordial, be punctual, because the bombs commence at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Believe that. So yeah. Got an upcoming debate. It should be a good one. It should be a good one. We gonna see if any of these Paul believers, you understand, can withstand this light. We're gonna see what's really going on. As y'all see the topic is Paul a false apostle? Right, and there's a subtitle too. I can't put on the flyer, but the subtitle is about his teachings, and are they hostile toward the original apostles? You know what I mean? So yeah, it should be a good one, man. You know me, I'm not taking nobody for, I ain't underestimating nobody. I ain't taking nothing for granted. But when it's time to go, I'm just head first with it and gonna get it done. I think if you tune in and keep it real with yourself, based off the presentation, because I'm doing we're doing either a PowerPoint or a Google Doc, whatever. I'm just gonna be, all the information gonna be right there. I'm just sliding and bombing, bing, 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 3 15-minute rounds. and then like a 10-minute round where we cross-examine each other, and then, you know, they opened it on up. You dig? So yeah, it should be a good one. It should be a good one. You feel me? Good to see y'all in the building. Good to be seen. Bless up, bless up. All praises to the Heavenly Father. All praises to the ever-present Creator. The all in all. The always was, is, and ever shall be. The mighty I am. The great spirit. The master light. You dig? The creator. All praises. The omnipotent. The ever-present. Knows all. Sees all. Can do all. All right, love and light, wisdom and healing to all you brothers and sisters. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. All right, so look, I want to go over a few things with y'all today. You know, just the basics. Really, I ain't gonna give away too much of nothing. You know, I ain't gonna get down like that. But you know, I want to get on here for one, promote the debate that's next Friday over at the Source Debate League on YouTube. All right, so I wanted to go ahead and salute them brothers right there, NehemiYAH and the rest of his squad over there. You dig? Blessings to you, brothers. Hold on, y'all. I don't know why this deal's still on. Turn this deal off. So salute to them brothers for allowing us to get on there and swing some swords. You know, with me though, it's never nothing personal, so it ain't gonna be personal. But I ain't coming to play. I ain't coming to play. I'm coming to bomb the whole set. I ain't gonna play with you. Not shoot it up, bomb it. Leave shrapnel everywhere. Like, I'm not even gonna play with nobody about nothing. You did. Just come right forward and we gonna see what's going on. You feel me? So yeah. We've been getting it done lately. Who was that? Seneca. Salute, fam. What's the word? Salute the brother. My brother from Montgomery, Alabama. Blessings, brain. Saying hollered at you in a few years, YAH'KI. Good to see you still around, brother. Bless up, bless up. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go into it, man. So look, first thing I'm gonna show some basics. You know what I mean? Let's show some basics real quick, so y'all can see basically what we saying. Right? Basically what we saying. And it really don't matter because these scriptures ain't going nowhere. It ain't like, dang, why you show that? And they not going nowhere. It ain't like in a week they about to rewrite everything, write this up out of there. You feel me? So yeah, it should be a good thing, man. Is was Saul of Tarsus a false apostle and does his teachings or his teachings hostile toward the original apostles? You dig? So just some basics real quick. Something you can't get around. Something you can't get around. Dig? Acts chapter 1. All right. What are the requirements for being an apostle? What are the requirements? Dig? Anybody can't just pop up and say, yeah, I'm an apostle. Hey, I'm an apostle. And I tell you right now, I've been ordained. Man, look, your breath stank. You ain't trying to hear none of that. You dig? Because if you was really an apostle, you would fit the bill. You know what I mean? So yeah. I ain't gonna go in too hard. I'm just gonna little basics, right? So Acts chapter 1 is where you start. All right. Acts chapter 1 is where you start. This right here is the requirements for being an apostle. If the shoe don't fit, you can't wear it. That don't mean you can't be a student of an apostle or a student of students who go all the way back to the apostles. You could be that too, if that's what it was. But you don't hold the title of an apostle if you don't fit this requirement right here. Acts chapter 1, verse 21. Wherefore these men, who? These men, which have company with us all the time that the master Yahshua, Yahawashi went in and out from among us. Stop right there. Huh? When coming to choose or ordain the 12th apostle who replaced Judas, according to the biblical narrative, criteria number one, or requirement number one is what? You had to be a day one. You had to be there. You had to company with us, been around us the entire time, all the time that Mashiach was going in and out from amongst us. Right? Criteria number one, you had to be a day one. That's what they say today. That's my day one, right? You had to be a day one to even be an apostle. You had to be a day one. I mean, you had to been there. You had the company, been with the bros. Witness him going in and out from amongst the brethren. Requirement number one. You had to be a day one. You had to be someone capable of saying, yeah, I bear witness to that. I was there. I was there. So you had to be a day one. If you're not a day one, if you did not witness, if you ain't witness, Messiah coming in and out, coming in and going out from amongst the brethren, then guess what? You not no apostle. And that stands for anybody today too, claiming they an apostle. We really need to slow down. You dig? We speed read through the scriptures. Think you got 1,000 precepts and you done precept this thing together and you done ran all these stop signs. How come when I ask every mumble mouth Negro, they don't like what we saying? Hey, what's the requirements of being an apostle? And not nam one of them know. N-A-M, nama. Not nam one of them know. You know why? We ain't slowed down. We read through this Bible so fast and believe we got so much understanding. What I'm going to bring out next week at that debate is going to stir the masses. It's going to stir them. Because you know what you're going to realize? You're going to realize, dang, this been right in front of my face the whole time. I've been reading it the whole time. I ain't never tripped off of it. That's how scary it is. Majority of what we're going to use is Bible. We're going to prove that your man's and them false with his letters. It's going to scare the masses. Dang, hold on. That is right there. No matter how many times you lick your finger, it ain't going nowhere. Huh? Understand what time it is right here. The apostles are choosing the 12th apostle who had to replace Judas, Yahudah. Huh? Requirement number one, you had to been there. You had to know Yahshua the man. You had to been there amongst him and the brethren. Huh? While he was coming in and going out from amongst the brethren. Requirement number one. If you don't fit that, guess what? I don't care what makeshift title you put on your back. Or you wear as a badge across your heart on your chest. You not no apostle. You not no apostle. Yeah, I love to be the bearer of bad news. Love it. I'll turn these notifications down a little taste. You dig? Let's jump on back. So if you understand, you had to be a day one. You had to witness. You had to be around the brothers and witness what we call Messiah coming in and going out. And that's just one requirement. You understand? If you understand that, give me a one up in the chat. Let's work. Yeah, we here to cook. We're here to play with nobody about nothing. We're going to cook. You know, we've been hearing all the, mumbles under your breath the past few years. A few people still on the fence or a few people still offended out there. Feeling like misfits. I called men to the flow 2 years ago about this matter. Wasn't around here playing. Wasn't licking no fingers, putting my finger up in the air, guessing which way the wind blow. Beautiful thing is it's all documented. It's right on YouTube. Called them all out by name. What's good? Crickets. It took a whole almost 2 years for this day to arrive. Oh, okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. It's an honor to be able to come forth and bring revelation or bring some truth to the masses. You understand? It's an honor. Well, why? Why you got to bring? Because no lie can stand with the truth. That's why. What you mean? Let's be real with ourselves. You had to be a day one, and I see one, so y'all understand it, right? Look at verse 22. So you had to be a day one, beginning from the baptism or immersion of YAH'KI, baptism of John, unto that same day he was taken up from us. Huh? Must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection. Stop right there. You had to have been a day one. You had to witness Mashiach coming in and going out. Huh? And you had to witness his baptism and his ascension. These are the requirements of being an apostle. And if the shoe don't fit, you can't wear it. What you mean? Yes, that means there are no apostles today. Huh? Any mumble mouth man running around her calling himself an apostle is false in the eyes of the Creator. False. You may be something else. You ain't no apostle though. Yeah. Why you ain't no apostle? You never witnessed, you never met the earthly Yahshua. You never witnessed him coming in and going out from amongst the brethren. You ain't witnessed his immersion, and you for sure ain't witnessed his ascension. When was he taken up? When was he taken up? Let's go back to verse 11. Let's jump on back. The date in which he was taken up from us. Must one be ordained? Jump back up to verse 9 through 11. This is easy. This is easy. What you mean? What you mean? Ain't nobody breathing that fit that criteria. Ain't a man breathing that fit that criteria. You ain't never meet the earthly Yahshua. You didn't see him get baptized, and you for sure ain't see him ascend. Why are you claiming you an apostle? Yeah, I'm coming to set it off. I ain't even finna play. I ain't underestimating nobody. I ain't coming to play next Friday. I'm telling y'all. I'm coming to bomb it right out the water. Back to back. Bomb, back to back to back. That's it. Bomb it. And make it so you can see clearly. Dang, that is crazy. You feel me? Messiah got a whole family out here that was like a part of his movement. And man, it's crazy. And it's crazy how when the dust settled, what happened. And that lets you know there's an agenda. There's an agenda in place. It's obvious. It's over half of the New Testament is written by a man that never met him. Who made that decision? Who made that decision? Ooh-wee. These are the requirements of being an apostle. And even if you don't like it, you learn something today. Now you're aware of it. Come on, saying scriptures ain't going nowhere. They can have it. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going first. Right for the jugular. Right for the jugular. Because you know what they understand? Paul don't fit that. Saul of Tarsus. Saul, should I say. Because he ain't become Paul to Acts 13 when he converted the deputy Paulus Sergius and took his name. He ain't slowing down. Saul went to Paul in the very chapter he converted the deputy of the country and took his name. Yeah, you really don't know what you're dealing with. Running around here thinking everything is inerrant. You ain't trying Nam spirit. You just believe in everything that's written down. You ain't using your common sense the Creator blessed you with. You ain't doing it. You don't know if you coming or going. You don't know if you worship an angel, a God, a Lord God, plural gods. If your God is nearsighted, farsighted, if he got locality, if the nigga walking through the guard doing it, like you don't know what you doing. You don't know whether you coming or going. You got nerve to be mad at everybody that bring that light, bring that understanding, bring that clarity to the table. Hey man, look, this is what it is, man. Look at that. Try that out. Huh? Look at this right here, man. Acts chapter 1. Until the day that he was taken up from us, right? Must one be ordained from the baptism to the ascension. This is when he was taken up. Acts chapter 1, the ascension. 9 through 11. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and the cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahshua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you have seen him go into heaven. So again, to be an apostle, according to the biblical narrative, you had to witness this right here too. You had been one of the ones that was like, dang. I mean, if you go on by the biblical narrative, you go on by the Bible, then if you calling yourself an apostle, then you got to fit the bill. You got to be a day one. You had to know and witness the earthly Yahshua. You had to witness his immersion, his baptism, and his ascension. If that ain't you, you don't fit the criteria. You not know, guess what? Guess what? You not an apostle. Let's jump back down. I hope I'm making sense. Look at this right here. Verse 23. I'm read 22 again. It says, beginning from the baptism of John unto that same day that he was taken up from us, must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection. There go the ordain. There go the criteria and the requirements. Who can deny it? Who can deny it? It don't matter if you agree with it or not. You can't deny it. They just put out a requirement. They put out criteria. Huh? For anyone running around here with an apostle name tag on his chest. Huh? Ain't damn apostles today. None. Zero. Look at this. And they appointed two. Trip off this. Joseph, called Barsabbas, who was surnamed, that had a nickname named Justice, and Mattathias or Matthew. Y'all see this? So that means the apostles understood that Joseph and Mattathias fit the requirement. Where Paul at? Where Saul of Tarsus at? You don't even talk about this brother who replaced Judas. He was an apostle. You don't even bring these brothers up. Both of the men that the apostles selected, both witnessed Yahshua coming in and going out from amongst the brethren all the time. And both these men, Joseph and Mattathias, witnessed his immersion and witnessed his ascension. So the apostles say, hey, look, these two right here, right? Look what they did. And they what? They prayed. They got spiritual about the selection. And they prayed and said, you, Lord, which knowest the hearts of all men, show whether of these two you have chosen. So they get spiritual. They invoke the spirit, right? Huh? Great spirit you choose. Look at this. That he may take part of this what? Ministry and who? Who? Apostleship. Bag drop. Bag drop. Bag drop. Yeah, this is basic. It's basic. Oh, I'm going first. Why? Because you can't get around it. You can look at this every side. You can look at this every way you try to look at it. I try to wrap my brain around it about 1,000,000 times, so many different ways. You can't get around it. You can't get around it. That he may take part of this ministry and apostleship, from which Yahudah, Judas, by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. And they gave forth their lots. They even cast lots. This is how they understood what the Spirit was choosing or who the Spirit chose. They cast lots. You know that they like throwing down dice or something. And whichever way they pray about it and throw the dice, and whichever way the lot or the dice land, that's what the Spirit, or that's who the Spirit chose. This is how they picked and ordained the apostle. They put out the requirements and they prayed about it and petitioned the Spirit and said, you choose. And then they threw some lots or they threw some dice down, and which way they landed, it landed where? And they cast forth and they gave forth their lots, and the lot fell upon Mattathias. And he was numbered with the who? 11 apostles. You don't never hear nothing about Mattathias. You hear anything about Saul of Tarsus, though? Mattathias fit the bill. Yourself, the other brother that the lot didn't fall on, he fit the bill too. So these are basics. You understand? It's basic. Like, all right, well, we know the requirements of being an apostle. We know the requirements. You see? Anybody asks you, even if you disagree, at least you're aware about it. And you can give a rundown and example. Here, let's go over to Acts chapter 1, start at verse 21. All right, these are the requirements of being an apostle. Whoever does not fit that, it cannot be an apostle. Cannot be an apostle. You see that? That right there make people spill their coffee. Like, dang, that's crazy. That's crazy. You feel me? And the whole structure, Messiah, left structure and order to the whole thing. You feel me? Like they had everything set up to where you couldn't just skip to my loo and just say, oh yeah, you know what? Watch a few YouTube videos. All right, yeah, now I'm this and I'm out here. No, you had to go check in with those who were given the charge over this move. Eventually, Saul had to come check in. Eventually, you got to go to Jerusalem and holler at the elders, holler at the apostles. But whatever you're doing out here is not valid. It's not valid. And Paul understood that. That's why many times he was trying to what? He was trying to defend his ministry. See, we read too fast. We ain't slowing down. Paul is defending his ministry. Why? Because it's under attack. Well, who got the authority to attack Paul concerning Messiah? That means Paul ain't being attacked by no Sadducees and no Pharisees. He being attacked by those who have a messianic vibration. Huh? Why do you think he says this? 1 Corinthians 9:1. Am I not an apostle? Dang, hold on. So there are people out there in Paul's day who was saying that he was false. You mean to tell me this is not a Malaki Macabee doctrine? I didn't make this up. All you gotta do is slow down and read his letters. He's gonna tell you exactly what's happening, what's going on. There's only one reason a man will write to an assembly and ask them, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? And that free means free from the leadership that's coming out of Jerusalem. You understand? Right? That's what he's saying. He's not under the authority of men. Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? And even that's doubtful. His whole premise of being an apostle, y'all, is based off his vision, his revelation. The road to Damascus. Acts chapter 9, 1 through 7. Acts 22, 6 through 8. Acts 26, 14 through 16. None of them match. His whole claim to being an apostle is based off his proverbial or his famous encounter with the Christ from heaven on the road to Damascus. It's just one problem. All those contradict. He don't know. Look, like what happened? Did y'all fall to the ground or did you just fall? Did y'all all hear the voice of Jesus talking to you or did you just hear the voice? All right, you got back-to-back scriptures where it say those that were with me heard the voice of Jesus talking to Saul, right? But didn't see a man. And then the very next time he brings it up, it says they didn't hear a voice. They didn't hear nothing. Did you all fall to the ground or did you just fall? Did the light from heaven surround just you or did it surround all y'all? Did they hear Jesus talking to you or was it just you? Can you make your story? Can you straighten up the facts, buddy? So this is important because he around here telling you, am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ, our Lord? Or not ye my work in the Lord? So He's writing to the assembly in Corinth, and he's defending his ministry. There's only one reason a man would write to you and tell you, am I not an apostle? He's saying, in essence, I'm an apostle too. You know why? Because the real apostles were sending that smoke at him. He ain't teaching. He's not teaching what he was commanded to teach coming from Jerusalem. See, he was given letters of recommendation from James, Yeshua's biological brother, and given 4 things to teach. That's it. He wasn't supposed to go out there and start his own thing and start putting out doctrines that go against what Yeshua ordained and set up. Paul was supposed to teach 4 things. Teach them to abstain from meats offered to idols, from things strangled, from blood, and from fornication. That's it. That's it. And he received letters, him and Barnabas received letters from James, the chief apostle and bishop, Yeshua's brother, to go forth and teach that. Right after that, Paul get into it with Barnabas. Man's problematic. Then he dropped all the, look, he talked bad about all of them. He dropped all their names. He talked about, he called them all out in Galatians. Barnabas, he called out Peter. He called out James. He called out John. Cephas, and that's a whole nother thing. Is Peter Cephas, Peter, and in back-to-back verses, he writing like they're 2 different people. What's really going on here? So he's saying, I'm an apostle too because I've seen the Lord. But when we go look at his revelation or his vision accounts, they don't add up. They got holes in them. So if your claim to be an apostle is based off a story that you can't seem to get the details correct, we naturally got to look at you like you short. We naturally got to look at you with a jaundiced eye, naturally. Because he ain't an apostle and was ordained by the apostles like we just sat there and read in Acts. No. He's self-proclaimed. Am I not an apostle? How are you an apostle if you didn't witness Messiah going in and coming out? How are you an apostle if you didn't witness his baptism and his ascension? How? So that means, y'all, Paul is a what apostle? Self-proclaimed. He put that name badge on himself. He went and got the little sticky name badge. Nigga put it on his chest and did all this himself. He put the title on himself. Look at this, verse 2. Look at this, verse 2. If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you. Hold on. Slow down. He's admitting. That's why I say don't take none of his letters out. Leave them all in there. Look, man, Paul is going to tell you exactly what's going on. And those he got a problem with. If I be not an apostle unto others, so there is a consensus during Paul's day that he's a false apostle. That's not wrong to extrapolate that and get that from there. Why? If he is saying, if I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you. He would not be saying that he understands that he's not an apostle to others if others weren't saying that he was false. Why? He ain't a day one. And he ain't teaching what he was commanded or told to teach. He teaches something totally different. Based off what Paul is saying, or Saul of Tarsus is saying right here, there is a strong consensus out there amongst the messianic vibration that's going on in the first century that Paul is a false apostle. Did I just make that up? If you are not an apostle to others, then that means the others consider you a false apostle. If y'all understand that, give me a 2 up in the chat. Shout out to my brother Real Shimshon. Am I not a neurosurgeon? Am I not an astronaut? Don't believe me because I said so. Exactly, man. Exactly. The reason Paul got to defend his ministry and his apostleship is because there's a strong consensus that he's not an apostle. And why wouldn't he be an apostle? This is Paul, right? This is the famous Paul. Why would there be a Why would there be a vibration out there that he's not an apostle? And y'all, the truth about this, y'all, these conversations are happening within the messianic circles. These are not Sadducees he's talking about. He's talking about apostles. These are not Sadducees and Pharisees coming against Paul. These are the apostles coming at him. Look at this. I know. You thought Paul agreed with Peter and James, and nah. Look at this. If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you, for the seal of mine apostleship are you in the Lord. So he's saying, you are my labor. I labor to get this assembly to where they at. But that assembly was hearing that Paul was false from the apostles. So now Paul got to write his letters and guess what? Defend his ministry, because he's losing control over his assemblies. Eventually, in the end, Paul writes to Timothy and says, everyone or all that be in Asia have turned against me. It's just one problem. When you read Revelation, the 2nd chapter, now the 7 churches, where they at? They're in Asia. And one of them churches, wasn't Paul in Ephesus? Ain't there a letter to the Ephesians? According to Paul's own letters, he caught hell when he was in Ephesus. If after the manner of men I have fought with beasts in Ephesus, all that be in Asia have turned against me. And then when you get into Revelation, the 2nd chapter, the assembly in Ephesus is being congratulated for holding a trial against false apostles. Holding a trial against false apostles and found the false apostles liars. Well, that would be Paul and his crew. Paul was even ordaining apostles. He wasn't an apostle and had the nerve to ordain apostles. Timothy, Timotheus, and Silvanus. This man straight named these men apostles. He put the apostle sticky name badge on their chest. Said, y'all apostles now. You looking good. You looking good. You an apostle now, because I said so. If I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtless I am to you, for the seal of mine apostleship are you in the Lord. Mine answer to them that do examine me is this. Hold on right there. There it is. Paul is admitting that there are those out there examining him, not trusting him, calling into question his apostleship, calling into question everything he's talking about, his doctrines and everything. Paul is admitting off his own lips that there is a strong opposition to what he's doing out there, and he's being examined. Is Macabee making this up, y'all? If you understand that, give me a 3 up in the chat. Let's see what the scholars say with the different translations. I don't want nobody thinking I'm, Mally making this stuff up. Translation 1 Corinthians 9:3. My defense to those who examine me is this. NIV, this is my defense of those who sit in judgment on me. Who had the authority, family? To sit in judgment on Paul, right? Who had the authority and the power to challenge what he was teaching concerning Messiah? And I'm going to help you out. It wasn't the Sadducees and Pharisees. Who else is left? The apostles. The real ones. These are messianic conversations. He ain't talking about, this ain't got nothing to do with his old Pharisee brotherhood and all that. These are messianic conversations. Why he's talking about being an apostle. No Sadducees care about your little order over here calling you an apostle. So what? Who would, true about this, but who would challenge Paul on being an apostle? Real apostles. This is my defense to those who would examine me. My defense to those who examine me is this, all that. This is my defense to those who examine me. So he was aware. Paul was definitely aware that what? That there was strong opposition to his apostleship out there. And again, who had the authority and the power to challenge him on what he was teaching? And the title that he was running around here carrying for himself. It would have to be real apostles. See how easy this is once you slow down? Once you slow down and start looking at it, you be like, oh, hold on, I'm tripping. Why did I think that? Why did I think that? You gotta do is slow down. I always say leave his letters right in there. My answer to them that do examine me is this. Look at this. Have we not power to eat and to drink? Paul went down with the dietary restrictions and the code that James gave at the Jerusalem Council. He felt he had the power, the authority, or the right to eat and drink whatever he wanted. It wasn't that serious. But notice how many times he dropped power. Remember, we talking about being an apostle. Ain't I'm an apostle? If I be not an apostle to others, I am to you. So those that sit in judgment on me is this. Have we not power to eat and to drink? Have we not power to lead a sister, a wife, as well as other who? Apostles. Let's show you these men had wives. They was married men. So the whole doctrine of being, celibate and all that, and, or commanding to be that, is off. That's off. See, the apostles had wives. Look, as well as other apostles and as the who? Brothers of the master. Meaning Yeshua got brothers and they are apostles. What you think is a coinky dink that the Messiah got a brother named James and a disciple named James? A cousin named John and a disciple named John? A brother named Simon and a disciple named Simon? A brother named Judas or Judah and a disciple named Judas? Has a female disciple, a close companion named Mary Magdalene, and got a mother named Mary who had a sister named Mary. He got a brother named Joseph and got a father named Joseph. What are we really dealing with here? You don't even know what you're dealing with. You don't even know the double rights and the overrights and the typology that's being played with you. This is literature you dealing with here. Literature. You think that's a coincidence that the man's family also got the same name as his disciples, but they're not one and the same? Paul telling you, the brothers of the Lord, the brethren of the Lord. Don't we got the right? Don't we got the power to lead about a sister or wife as well as other apostles and as the brethren of the Lord and who? Cephas. Look at this. Or I only am Barnabas, have not we power to forbear working? So this right here is showing you, if you really slow down and read for what he's saying that he's an apostle too, and he should have the same authority that the real apostles have. And he dropped power back to back. Have we not power? Have we not power? Have not we power? But he also admit again that there are other apostles. The other apostles are the ones in Jerusalem. He's admitting they are apostles and admitting the brethren of the Lord are amongst them. Oh, you think it's a gang? Think it's a gang? Hold on. In case you think the brothers of YAHWH, the brothers of Messiah, wasn't apostles. Hold on. Ain't no guesswork. Ain't no licking of the finger. Look at this. In Galatians. Paul again. Or Saul of Tarsus again. Look at him. Defending his ministry. Defending his ministry. But I certify you, brethren. I make it known to you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me is not after man. Meaning he didn't get it from the disciples or the apostles. He didn't get it from the earthly Yeshua. Look at this. For I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it, but by the revelation of Jesus Christ. So he talking about what he got on his road to Damascus. What he teaches, he got directly from this spiritual entity identified as the Christ. But he didn't get it from the earthly Yeshua, and he didn't get it from his apostles and family. Really? Look at this. Look at this. So right here, it lets you know he's defending his ministry because the men, there's only one group of men who could have gave Paul the understanding concerning Messiah, and it's the apostles. It ain't nobody else. Who else could have gave him the understanding? Why was he make known that, look, what I teach, I didn't get from them. I didn't get from men. What men? The apostles. I got directly from the Spirit. Except when we go check his conversion account, it contradicts each other. So how is you all in on a man's vision when he can't get his own story right? I'm going to say it again. How is you all in on a man's vision when he can't get his own story right? He don't know if they all failed or he just failed. He don't know if they all heard Jesus speaking or he just heard him speaking. He don't know if the light only surrounded him or surrounded all of them. He don't know. They got holes in it. So he telling you right out the gate, and the only reason you have to defend anything is because you're being attacked. Who's attacking Paul? Who's saying you not no apostle? He admit, if I be not an apostle to some, yet doubtless I am to you. Ain't I an apostle? Haven't I seen the Lord? We don't even know that. And I ain't saying the man didn't have a vision, but Constantine had one too, who he identified as the Christ from heaven. And we all know that Christianity was started by what? A false God. Muhammad had a vision too, saying he ain't have no spiritual experience. I ain't saying that. I'm saying, why don't his vision and why don't his doctrine line up with those who Yahshua set up to be leaders in this movement? Huh? Look at this. But when it pleased God who separated me from my mother's womb, y'all, that means he's a Nazir, a Nazarite. But if you a Nazir or a Nazarite, then you got to rock with the code. You wouldn't be talking about the brothers who never put a razor on their head because they got Nazarite vows on them. You wouldn't be talking about the brothers who don't chew on the backs of filleted animals because guess what? They chew on the herbs. You call them weak. You said men with long hair, nature teaches you that that's against nature. Huh? Look at this. But when it pleased God who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace to reveal his son in me that I might preach him among the heathen, immediately I conferred not with flesh and blood. There he go again. I didn't go check in with the apostles. The mission I'm on didn't come from them. That's what Paul's saying. Saul of Tarsus. The mission that he got didn't come from the apostles or the earthly Yahshua. It came from who he called Jesus Christ. He didn't get with flesh and blood. Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them that were what? Apostles before me. So Paul letting you know they are apostles. But I didn't get this from them. And he got to trip off this. Notice he has to constantly keep reiterating, right? As if he's saying my understanding is higher than the apostles because I got it directly from the heavens. I didn't get it from them. Huh? Neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia. Look at him. What are you doing all the way over in Arabia for? And returned again unto Damascus. Look at this. Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Kepha, Peter, and abode with him 15 days. It's a fortnight. But other of the apostles saw I none, save or except who? James, the Lord's brother. Yes. Yes. So when we go to 1 Corinthians 9, it talks about as the other apostles and the Lord's brethren, is because Messiah's family was part of his movement. You understand? They playing a game with you. Again, you think it's a coincidence he got a brother named James and a disciple named James who had a brother named John, the sons of Zebedee, but now Messiah got a cousin named John the Baptist. Got a brother named Simon. Got a disciple named Simon the Zealot and Simon Peter. Got a brother named Judas, so Yahudah. Got a disciple named Judas. Got a father named Joseph. Got a brother named Joseph. Got a mama named Mary who got a sister named Mary, and his closest female disciple is Mary of Macabee. All that, look, if you can't recognize that's double writing, if you can't recognize that's literature, that's a rewrite and a double write dealing with literature, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you then. But this right here off Paul's own lips, he's admitting that the Messiah's brother, James, is an apostle. And that he's who? The Messiah's brethren. Y'all understand so far? You understand? Give me a 4 up in the chat. Bless up, bless up, bless up. You see? So we show. Paul comes and he defends his ministry. Why? He's under attack. Why is he under attack? Because the apostles, you dig, are out there letting it be known that Paul is not an apostle, and what he's teaching, he ain't been validated to teach. He ain't been validated to teach that. Right? He's doing his own thing. And hundreds of years later, after the dust settled and Rome went out, guess who they go with? They go with the guy with Roman citizenship who's related to the Herods. Right? The fact that Paul has majority of the letters in the New Testament shows you there's an agenda at play. The man who never met Messiah and the man who taught something that no man taught him. No apostle, no earthly Jesus, no nothing. Got over half of the New Testament. You don't think that's a coinky dink? You think that's just by happenstance? No, that's an agenda that was hand selected. You just got to be real with yourself. You understand? So according to Paul, James is the master or the Yahshua's brother, and he's an apostle. Y'all see that for yourself. When over to 1 Corinthians 9, Paul defending his ministry again. He constantly has to say, not of men. I'm not an apostle of man. Not of man, neither through man. Why does he got to constantly keep saying that? Right? Who else is announcing themselves like that? I'm an apostle, but not like those apostles. Huh? Not like those apostles. Watch this. Paul started naming men. Man, look at this. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. Do a few more of these, and I'm gonna get off here. I just wanted to get on here and let y'all know I got a debate next Friday around this time, right? And the topic is Paul, or was Paul, a false apostle? And are his teachings hostile to the original apostles? Look at this. 1 Thessalonians 1:1. Look at this. Look at this. Paul and Silvanus and Timotheus, unto the church of Thessalonians, which is in God the Father and in the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be unto you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. So Paul and Thessalonians, you see who with him? Silvanus and Timothy. Silvanus and Timotheus, right? Now watch this. Watch this. Let's go over one chapter. 1 Thessalonians 2:6. Watch this. Watch this. Remember, Paul letting you know those that are with him. You can go back to Galatians. He let you know, I'm talking, this is from me and those with me. 1 Thessalonians 2:6. Nor of men sought we. Remember, it's Paul, Timothy, and Silvanus. Nor of men sought we glory, neither of you, nor yet of others. When we, Paul, Timothy, and Silvanus, might have been burdensome as the apostles of Christ. So not only is this man not an apostle, right? And he put the sticky name badge of an apostle on his chest. He put the name badge and title of apostle on two other cats, right? Who don't fit the bill either, who are not apostles. You see that? Man, that's crazy. So you just got to be real with yourself. Paul had his own thing going. It was a time when Paul had 12 disciples too. You know, we'll get into all that eventually. You know what I mean? Man, I had 12 disciples. He did catch fire in Ephesus, though. He did. You dig? And this crew right here, Paul, Timothy, and Silvanus, were the apostles that were rebuked by the assembly in Ephesus, and they were congratulating Revelations, the 2nd chapter, for rebuking those who say they are apostles and are not, and finding them out to be liars. Finding them out to be liars. You see that? That's how real this is, man. That's how real this is. All right, now watch this right here. Show y'all something real quick. Let's go back to Galatians. I ain't gonna get too much out today. Just want to show y'all a few things. Paul gotta always defend himself. Gotta defend his doctrine because he's losing what? He's losing the control he has over his assemblies. Look at this. Look at this right here. And we in the Bible the whole time. Well, I told y'all we can use his letters to prove everything we talking about. They did. Hold on. Oh, mic check, mic check. Now look at this, y'all. Galatians 1:1. Look at this. Look at this right there. Here we go again. Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by Jesus Christ and God the Father who raised him from the dead. He keep running that he's an apostle, but not like those apostles, not like the real apostles. All right, in his own letters. Why does he have to keep announcing himself as if he's defending his position and defending his doctrine? Why? There's only one reason, because he's being attacked. He's being challenged, right? He's being exposed as a fraud. And that's why he always got to say, I'm an apostle, but not of men. I didn't get ordained by them. The only men who can ordain you as an apostle are the men who are in Jerusalem. It's real easy if you slow down. Paul, an apostle, not of men, neither by man, but by Jesus Christ and God the Father who raised him from the dead. So look at this. And all the brethren which are with me. Who is with Paul? We know Timothy and Silvanus is with Paul. Then we just showed it in 1 Thessalonians 2:6 and 1 Thessalonians 1:1. 1 Thessalonians 1:1, Timotheus and Silvanus is with Paul. 1 Thessalonians 2:6, his crew are considered apostles. Off his own lips, they're apostles. And unto all the brethren which are with me, into the churches of Galatia. Look at this. Jump down to verse 6. Perversion of what? The gospel. This is how you know this is a messianic thing. This is an apostle thing he got a problem with, y'all. It ain't this perversion. Paul is not tripping off the Sadducees and the Pharisees because they're not teaching and preaching what you know is the gospel or the news of Mashiach. They're not teaching that. So the fact that he's even saying that the gospel has been perverted is being perverted by those who are preaching it. Well, who's preaching it? I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Messiah unto a what? Another gospel. So he's admitting that it is a gospel. It's just different than what he was teaching. Do y'all see that? If it's another gospel, then this other gospel is different from what Paul teaches. If y'all understand that, give me a 5 up in the chat. Slow down. If you slow down and reread them, you'll be like, dang, he's spilling all the beans in this deal. He's spilling all of them. But notice it's still a gospel, meaning it still has messianic vibration on it. Yeah, that's how you know he's talking about the apostles. He ain't talking about the Pharisees and Sadducees. He's talking about the apostles and how they teach a different gospel than what Paul and his crew teaches. Look at this. And then he goes on to say, he says another gospel. Then he goes on to say, which is not another. Which is not another. But there be some that trouble you and will pervert the gospel of Christ. What Paul teaches or what Saul teaches, he calls the gospel of Christ. What the apostles teach, he calls another gospel. There's only one group of brothers teaching the gospel out there, y'all. Or teaching about the real Yahshua, and that it's the apostles. It ain't the Pharisees and Sadducees. So in other words, he wouldn't be arguing with the Pharisees and them about being an apostle. They don't care. They don't care. They ain't got nothing to do with them. They're not apostles. The Sadducees are priests, like high priests and chief priests. They don't care nothing about you calling yourself an apostle. So Paul calls what he's teaching the gospel of Christ. He calls what anybody else is teaching another gospel. Then he says it ain't another, but there are those who are troubling you, troubling the assembly in Galatia. With what? With the understanding coming out of Jerusalem that what Paul is teaching is false. So Paul's saying they're troubling you. He goes on to say the same thing in Galatians 5. I wish those that trouble you be cut off. The cut off means castrated, remove the testes and love muscle. So he's like, those who teach in circumcision need to be castrated. Paul says this in 4 chapters over. 4 chapters over. Now, regardless of how you feel about circumcision, right? What no Israelite will tell you that hey man, this is how I feel about circumcision. Remove your testes and your love muscle if you're thinking about getting circumcised. No Israelite will tell you that. Regardless if you feel like if you ain't do it on the 8th day, you in violation, or you feel as if once you get grown and come into some understanding, you're gonna do it then like Abraham. No Israelite will tell you, hey, this is how I feel about the law of circumcision. Remove your testes and your love muscle. Castrate yourself. That's what Paul taught. 4 chapters over. You think he's talking about being cut off from the truth? No. He's talking about when you go into the other versions and when you go into the definition of the words cut off, and when you look, you be like, that's crazy. That man just pronounced the sin of castration on these brothers for teaching to the assembly of Galatia about circumcision. And these are Messianic brothers teaching circumcision. And Paul's response is they need to be castrated for teaching it because it's troubling you. Look at this. Look at this. But though we or an angel, remember the we with Paul. Paul saying, and all the brethren with me. We identified 2 of them who are called apostles by Paul, Timotheus and Silvanus. But though we, Paul and his crew, or an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached. That's Paul and his crew. We have preached unto you. Let him be accursed. How do we know that's Paul and his crew? How do we know? Go back up to verse 2. Paul and his crew in verse 2. And all the brethren which are with who? Me. Unto the churches of Galatia. Paul an apostle and all the brethren which are with me. Let's jump back down in. But though we or an angel from heaven, Galatians 1:8, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we, Paul and his brethren with him, we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. Well, who else is teaching something different to the church of Galatia concerning the gospel? That's all you got to ask yourself. And it'll clear right up for you. Oh, he talking about the apostles. What does it mean to be accursed? What does it mean to be accursed?
Strong's G 331. Anathema. Anathema.
Paul cursed those who teach a gospel different than his. Right? Look at this. A thing devoted to God without hope of being redeemed. And if an animal to be slain, therefore a person or thing doomed to destruction. A what? A curse. I think it was cursing the apostles. They the only ones that could teach a gospel other than Paul's to the church of Galatia. Or Paul felt he had to defend his ministry. He said, well, let them be accursed. If they teach you, if you being taught anything different than what me and my crew teach, I don't care if it's an angel, count them cursed. A man accursed, devoted to the direst of woes. So no. Paul was cursing them. At times he'll get angry and vindictive and say, castrate yourself and cut your love muscle off. Cut your love muscle off and your testes. Look at that, y'all. Look at that. Where's the fruit of the spirit in that? He going that hard because he know there are those out there that ain't rocking with him. They know he false. And that's why he got to go that hard. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. Dang, Paul, Saul of Tarsus. What's going on here? What's really going on? It's like just cursing everybody out and everything. Dang, go. Man, that's crazy. Be all right, player. But reason he's defending his ministry once again, y'all, because the ministry was under attack from the apostles. And this is why he said this. Let's go. What do you think he's talking about, y'all? I know it's hard to accept it. I know. Who else is he talking about? Here he is again. Paul defends his what? Apostleship. The only reason you have to defend it is because somebody is attacking you. Somebody is proven, and there's a strong bodily consensus out there about you that you not no apostle. That you ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about over here. You doing your own thing. Look at this. He got to defend himself. Why? Who got the authority and the power to even challenge him? Who? Look at this. Why you think he wrote this? We read this and think we instantly think of T.D. Jakes. We instantly think of T.D. Jakes. We instantly think of Creflo Dollar. Who else? All these men claiming to be apostles out here. We instantly think of them. We instantly think of them. You dig? Well, trip off this. Now that we know who the apostles are and what it takes to be an apostle, right? And we even got our Paul's own lips that the apostles are in Jerusalem that were apostles before him. Right? Well, y'all, who are he talking about? For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Messiah. Who are there's only one group of apostles out there, y'all. And it just so happened, Paul or Saul of Tarsus and them are at odds. And now he's getting to the point where he's calling them false. What is a false apostle? Look at this.
Strong's G 5570. Pseudoapostolos.
Oh man.
Pseudoapostolos.
Y'all hear that? Pseudo-apostolos. He called them pseudo. Paul done called the apostle pseudo. Oh no. This Saul of Tarsus tripping. Did he just call the apostle pseudo? False apostle is pseudo-apostolos. Pseudo. And you hear that term thrown around today. Oh, that's pseudo. Oh, man, this nigga Paul a op for real, man. He just called the apostle pseudo. Pseudo. Dang, that's crazy, man. This cat is straight up clowning. Look at that pseudo. He just called them pseudo. Dang, that's crazy. False apostle. A false apostle, one who falsely claims to be an ambassador of Christ. Who else is Paul talking about, y'all? You still think I'm making it up? Still think I'm making it up? Let's go to Galatians 2 then. Who are the false apostles he's writing about? There's only one group of apostles, even according to Paul. If it's outside of him, who else are the apostles outside of Paul? Because he's self-proclaimed. He's not no real apostle based off the requirements of being an apostle. But off his own mouth, the apostles are in Jerusalem, and off his own mouth, Yahshua's brothers are apostles of Paul's own mouth. Let's see if we because right now you could be like, well, Malik, man, you reaching. I see it, but how you know he's talking about them? Well, that's a thing they do in the streets called name dropping. You know what I mean? It's almost like dry snitching, but it's not, because name dropping is more direct. Dry snitching is like you telling, but you ain't saying who it is, but you are. Now, Paul about to call the apostles that he have a problem with by name. He just called them pseudo. That's crazy, man. You know what I mean? That's crazy. What you mean they pseudo? boy, Paul is something else. Saul taught. Now look at it. Right. Now this is Acts 15, 1 through 21, or Galatians 2. It's supposed to be a rehash of Acts 15, the Jerusalem Council, right? Now watch this. Now, when you read Acts the 15th chapter, and then you read this, Paul straight lying. He in here lying. Like, it's crazy. Now watch this. We're going to show you the lie. And then I'll probably shut it down after this. Look at it. Then 14 years after, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas and took Titus with me also. And I went up by revelation and communicated unto them that gospel which I preach among the Gentiles, but privately to them which were of reputation. So he brought this to the elders and leaders according to him. He brought this to the apostles, lest by any means I should run or had to run in vain. So there again, there's something about you having to come check in with James, and check in with the apostles, check in with the brothers of Yahshua. Eventually, Paul had to come check in. Look at this. But neither Titus, who was with me, being a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. So again, this is about circumcision, right? When we get all the way over to Galatians 5, Paul is calling for the castration of anyone who teaches circumcision, right? And that because of who? False brethren. Well, it's false again. Pseudo. Look at this.
Strong's G 5569. Pseudadelphos.
Man, Paul running around here calling the bros in Jerusalem, whose leader is James, the Messiah's brother. He calling them false brethren. Pseudo. False apostles. Pseudo. Transforming themselves into the disciples of Messiah. Pseudo. He's saying pseudo. That's what he's saying. And that because of pseudo brethren or false brethren, unawares brought in, who came in privately to spy out our liberty, which we have in Messiah, that they might bring us into bondage. Now remember, he said earlier that he's free, right? He don't want to be up under the authority. He don't want to be up under the authority. He don't want to be up under the authority of the apostles in Jerusalem. He don't want to be. He keeps throwing out here that he's free. You know what I mean? I'm free, right? Look at this. To whom we gave place by subjection, no, not for an hour, that the truth of the gospel might continue with you. Look what Paul just said. He said we didn't submit ourselves to them for an hour, for a second of an hour. Y'all, he's talking about the apostles in Jerusalem. That's what he's talking about. To whom we gave place by subjection. Remember, he keeps saying, man, I'm not no apostle of man. I'm not after man. I didn't receive this from a man. Neither was I taught it by man, but by revelation. We go to the revelation, it got holes in it. He telling you in Galatians 2 that when he went to Jerusalem and dealt with those who were of reputation, he wasn't in subjection to them for an hour. Paul does his own thing. He teaches something totally different. You dig? Look at this. That the truth of the gospel might continue with you. Look at this. Look at this right here. But of these, look at this. But of these who seemed to be somewhat, whatsoever they were, it maketh no matter to me. God accepteth no man's persons. For they who seem to be somewhat in conference added nothing to me. Paul is saying, look, whoever this is, whoever they claim to be, it don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. Whoever they are, who are in reputation, means absolutely nothing to me. Back in there. Close the door. It means absolutely nothing to me. Look at this. Galatians 2 and 6. Different translations. Go down. I'm going to show y'all exactly who he's talking about. Who's in Jerusalem who has the reputation of being what it is. Oh, my bad, y'all. I went too far. Show y'all this right here. Now, you know he's talking right about the apostles. It's crazy. I'm trying to find the one exactly that straight tell you. Right here in LT. I know I wasn't tripping. Look at this. And the leaders of the church had nothing to add to what I was preaching. By the way, their reputation as great leaders made no difference to me, but God has no favorites. Who are the leaders of the assembly in Jerusalem that Paul is talking about, y'all? It's the apostles, specifically James and on down, Peter and all them. He's saying when he went to Jerusalem that the leaders of the church or the apostles didn't add nothing to what I was saying. He said that he wasn't in subjection to them for 1 hour. And whoever they claim to be, even though they are the leaders and the apostles, their reputation as great leaders made no difference to me. You see? The man was hostile toward the apostles, man. Just look at it. Look at it for what it is and just set aside your biases. You'll be able to see and say, dang, hold on. He is saying that. Right? The leaders are those who are in reputation, and he like, it don't matter because God don't accept no man's person. Right? And again, it's if he has to throw them under the bus to validate what is apostleship, man. You did. How many times I got to tell you? Okay, well, go sit down for a second. All right, go sit down. All right, go sit down. All right. Now look at this right here. It says right here. It says right here. It says, but of these who seem to be somewhat whatsoever they were, it maketh no matter to me. God accepteth no man's person. For they who seem to be somewhat in converse added nothing to me. He talking about the leaders of the assembly, or the apostles. Look at it. But contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of circumcision was unto Peter. There he go lying again. What you mean the gospel of the uncircumcision? Where that's it? Who came up with that? Huh? That didn't go down in Acts the 15th chapter. They didn't say, okay, well, you just go to the, the heathen, and Peter, you just go to the Jews. Now, this is Paul's version of what happened, but it totally contradicts Acts the 15th chapter when you read it. He claiming they didn't say nothing else to him, but that he has the gospel of uncircumcision. And Peter and them got the gospel of circumcision. It's just one problem. Remember back here? Remember back here in Galatians 1? Remember back here in Galatians 1? This is showing you the difference. It's showing you the difference. Look at this right here. You remember this? Galatians 1 and 6? I marvel that you were so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Messiah unto what? Another gospel. Well, ain't the gospel of uncircumcision and the gospel of circumcision two different gospels? Is the gospel of uncircumcision and the gospel of circumcision two different gospels? But though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. You got Paul off his own lips. Saying that what Peter and James and them teach is called the gospel of circumcision, and it's different from what Paul teaches, which is called the gospel of uncircumcision. If y'all understand that, give me a 6 up in the chat. I ain't made none of this up. I ain't made none of it up. Paul just said it and put it on record that he has the gospel of the uncircumcision and Peter has the gospel of circumcision. Well, y'all, those are two different gospels. And he's saying Galatians 1, if they bring any other gospel, count them cursed. And he calls it another gospel because his gospel, the gospel of Christ. Dang. Just told on himself. The gospel of circumcision and the gospel of uncircumcision are two different gospels. Paul said, if you bring another gospel, you're damned. Dang. Look at this. Let's keep going. For he that walked effectually in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty in me toward the Gentiles. The crazy part is Peter and them was already out amongst the Gentiles teaching. They already had Gentile protocol. They just had to be up under the same discipline. Look at this. Here come Paul name dropping. He already mentions Peter, don't he? Then he said the pseudo brothers and the pseudo apostles. You understand? He called them that. Then he said, I would not be in subjection to them, no, not for 1 hour. And he said, the leaders of the church didn't even add nothing new to me. And even though they are leaders, I don't even care. Now he name drops even more. Now when James, Cephas, and John, who seemed to be pillars, look at this. Look at him. He's name dropping. We ain't got to guess who Paul got a problem with. He tell you who he got a problem with, who seemed to be pillars. Perceive the grace that was given unto me, that gave to me and Barnabas the right hands of fellowship, that we should go into the heathen and they into the circumcision. That was not an agreed upon deal in Acts the 15th chapter. What are you talking about? They all was out amongst the Gentiles teaching. Look at this. So he's lying saying this. Verse 10. Only they would that we should remember the poor, the same which I also was forward to do. Look at this. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed. Look at this. For before that certain came from James. He did eat. Now, this is James, the leader of the movement, the apostle, Messiah's brother. Look at this. For before that certain came from James. Yes, James had the authority to send men and had the power to send men after Paul and check his doctrine. And Paul knew it. That's why he constantly defended this ministry. That's why he had to go so hard and curse men. That's why he called it another gospel. He said he refused to be in subjection. He's free. These men seem to be pillars. Their reputation as great leaders mean nothing to me. I don't even care. Look at this. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, when the men came from Jerusalem, when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. It's just this circumcision are under the orders of James, Yahshua's brother. And they're coming from Jerusalem to check the temperature of Paul and his assemblies, Paul and his doctrine. Look at this. And the other Yahudim disassembled likewise. He called them dissemblers, hypocrites. He just called Peter a hypocrite. Peter and James. And the other Jews dissembled or were hypocrites likewise with him. And so much that Barnabas, he name dropping. Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation, their hypocrisy. Y'all see this? Paul calling the apostles hypocrites. Men sent from James. James actually is the one who has the power and the authority to challenge Paul and his apostleship and his doctrine. That's why he had to constantly write letters and say, I'm an apostle. Haven't I seen the Lord? But when I saw that they walk not uprightly according to the truth of the gospel, I said unto Peter before them all. Check out this. Check out what he said to Peter. If you, being a Jew, live after the manner of Gentiles, live like a Gentile, and not as do the Jews, why compel as you, the Gentiles, to live as the Jew? Paul just told, he called Peter a hypocrite. He called Peter, James, and Barnabas hypocrites, right? And then claimed, he told Peter to his face that he lived like a heathen, that he lives unlawful. All that talk you talking, you don't even agree with what James are over here writing. You don't even agree. You over here eating meat that are offered to idols. That's what it means to eat with the Gentiles. He's over there eating meat offered to idols because James wrote down what? To abstain from meats offered to idols. So Paul is blaming Peter for violating James's direct orders of eating meats offered to idols. And Paul just told Peter to his face, according to him, what? You live just like a heathen. You don't even live lawful. Dang. Them fighting words right there. Boy, you a heathen. You live like a heathen. This is the same Peter who had the fiery tongues. Look at this. We who are Jews by nature, not sinners of the Gentiles, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law. Look at this. So the works of the law he talking about right here now is dietary. We're talking about table fellowship, eating with Gentiles, right? Well, it's a violation if what you are eating falls under the classification of being offered to idols. So he's saying, in essence, that Peter is eating the meat or the flesh that has been offered to idols, and it's a clear violation of James's directive and orders that was given. Called him a heathen, called him a hypocrite. And saying, look, keeping the dietary law ain't gonna do nothing for you. You won't be justified or declared innocent by following that. He used the same justification from works of the law when it comes to circumcision as well. You see, if you see Paul has a problem, y'all, we ain't got to guess now. We ain't got to guess who the false apostles are. He's name dropping. Ain't he name dropping here right here? Who the false apostles according to Paul? James, Cephas, John, right? Barnabas ain't no apostle, but he's a pioneer. He joined the movement early. He called all them hypocrites. I told Peter, you live like a heathen. You over there actually eating the meat that's offered to idols. But when these men come up here with the authority and power that James gave them, you act as if everything all good. Paul is vindictive. Paul is hostile toward the apostles, y'all. Paul has cursed the apostles. They teach something totally different. And if you think he doesn't think they teach a different gospel, then why does he call the gospel to the circumcision? That's for them. That's for the apostles. And he teaches the gospel of the uncircumcision. Even off his own lips, he teaches a different gospel. Well, whoever teaches a different gospel than what he teaches is damned according to him. It's damned according to him. Let's go over to Galatians 5. Let's show you. And again, ain't no licking up the finger, no guesswork, right to it. And I'm going to get on about it here. I ain't going to stay on here long tonight. I just want to promote the debate next week between myself and Brother Proorizo 1. It'll be over there on the Source Debate League on YouTube. Topic is Paul a false apostle, or his teachings hostile toward the original apostles. Galatians 5. I think this is a game with dude, man. Dude wasn't right. Right? He was an enemy to the apostles before his conversion and after. And that's what I've been showing. Right? He's an enemy. He's a straight enemy. He's an op. And it gets deeper too. He's directly connected to the courts in Rome. His homeboy Epaphroditus is Nero's secretary and Josephus' publisher. In the book of Philippians, there's a cat named Epaphroditus. That nigga is the secretary to Nero and Josephus' publisher. And then Paul tell you right again in the book of Philippians, salute all those who be a part of Caesar's household. I say, good night, boy. Good night. Then he told you he's an Herodian. He's related to the Herods. Then he told you he got Roman citizenship. Oh, we're going to bring all that out. We're going to bring all that out, man. You dig? Y'all, man, stuff got holes in it. You got to slow down and just reread. If you slow down, you'll see. Look at this. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ has made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Notice he keep calling certain aspects of the law, like food restrictions and circumcision, he calls it bondage. Calls it bondage. Look at this. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Nothing at all. If you circumcised and you believe in Messiah according to Paul, you just wasted your time. Look at this. Mark my words. I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. Where are you getting that from? Like, where is that written at? Anywhere. Why he got to go that far? And obviously, those who are teaching circumcision to the assembly in Galatia are those who are messianic. Yeah, this is a messianic thing. His enemies are those with the messianic vibration. It's the apostles. It's not the Pharisees and Sadducees, y'all. That's what you've been led to believe. It's not. It's not. He got a problem. He talking different gospels. He talking the word apostle. He talking power and the right to do what he need to do. He talking about those sent from James, who was the Messiah's brother, and how there are food restrictions out there that he like, man, whatever. That don't mean nothing to me. ESV, look, I, Paul, say to you that if you accept circumcision, Christ will be of no advantage to you. CSB, take note. I, Paul, am telling you that if you get yourself circumcised, Christ will not benefit you at all. Dang. Look, I, Paul, tell you that if you have yourself circumcised, Christ will be of no benefit. And on, NET. Listen, I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourself be circumcised, Christ will be of no benefit to you at all. Dang. What is Paul really on? See, so we understand that the bondage in verse 1 that he's talking about, being entangled again in, is circumcision. And he got to go as far as say, if you get circumcised, the Messiah won't even look. If you get circumcised, the Messiah will not benefit you. Meaning, if you get yourself circumcised, it's pointless if you claiming that you follow Messiah, because he won't even benefit you at that point. Look at this. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law. I mean, if that's your understanding, and so be it, but it's always been that. If that's the case, it's always been that. You know what I'm saying? Jews are bound to their law. The Israelites are bound to their law. So what are you saying? That don't mean we don't come from a nation of sinners. All right? But you saying they shouldn't get circumcised because you're a debtor to do the whole law makes no sense when Israel has always been bound to the whole law. They've always been bound to it. If that's what you claim, then you bound to it. Right? But that's no righteous or viable reason to not get circumcised. Oh man, you're gonna be bound to the whole law if you get circumcised. Nah, nigga, even if you look, even when you get circumcised, you still gotta obey your father and mother. Huh? There are still things you ain't supposed to be throwing down your throat. You still gotta love your neighbors yourself. Huh? Yeah. You still gotta be a stand-up, honorable man or woman, period. Look at it. Christ has become of no effect unto you. Whosoever you are justified by the law, you are fallen from grace. Now look at this. You did run well, talking to the assembly in Galatia. You did run well, right? Who did hinder you? Who did hinder you? You did run well. Who did hinder you that you should not obey the truth? So circumcision ain't got nothing to do with no truth, according to him. You was really doing a good job until you accepted the doctrine coming from Jerusalem about being circumcised. This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. You being persuaded to get circumcised, like he's thoroughly convincing them to abandon circumcision. Because if you get circumcised according to him, you're a debtor to do the whole law, and Messiah won't benefit you at all if you do this. So don't do it. Because he know if he gets down and decides to do it, or they decide to do it, then guess what? They are following the apostles in Jerusalem. Because guess what? Eventually, even though James stood up and said, trouble not them from amongst the Gentiles who are turned unto God, but right unto them, he was saying that you ain't got to put all that on them at one time. And when we get into, not today, but when we get into the doctrine of reserve, when Peter was writing to James, you understand? It's a doctrine of reserve that Messiah left them so they could preserve their understanding and their doctrine. And one of it is a 7-year initiation process. And somewhere during that 7-year initiation process, eventually you get circumcised. You just don't have to start out getting circumcised right out the gate. But eventually you get circumcised as a grown man. So that's what he meant when he stood up and said, trouble not them from amongst the Gentiles who are turned to God, but that we write unto them that they abstain from meats offered to idols, from things strangled, from blood, from fornication. When he say trouble not them, meaning leave them alone about the circumcision, because eventually they got to get it done anyway. They don't have to have it done right now just to believe, but eventually, just like with Abraham, eventually Abraham got circumcised. Abraham wasn't circumcised on the 8th day. So regardless if you get circumcised on the 8th day by your parents or you eventually get circumcised as an adult, you understand? You got both examples in the scripture, right? Paul's arguing totally against it like a little later for that. Abandon that, right? Look at this. This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So now he's calling circumcision leaven. He's calling it sinful. That's why he said up above that Christ will profit you nothing, because he is calling circumcision, those teaching circumcision that's a part of the body of Messiah, he's calling that sin. There ain't an Israelite in this world that tell you getting circumcised is a sin. Look at this. I have confidence. Look at this. I have confidence in you through the Lord that you will be none otherwise minded. He's like, man, I got confidence that you will abandon that. But he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. Talking about the apostles. And what are the apostles? They're telling Paul's assembly in Galatia, y'all got to eventually get circumcised. Paul saying, no, Messiah won't profit you none of that. And whoever, and look, hopefully you won't be other-minded, but whoever is teaching that to you shall bear his judgment, whoever he is. Look at this. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then it's the offense of the cross ceased. Look at this. I would they were even cut off, which trouble you. And I always thought that just meant cut out the truth, or, you know what I mean? You know, what they call it, excommunicated. Y'all don't forget what we've been talking about this whole time. Circumcision in Galatians, the 5th chapter, right? We've been talking about circumcision, correct? So what you think?
Strong's G 609, apokopto. Apokopto.
What does it mean to cut off? It means to amputate. He's calling for the castration. Paul just told you that if anybody is teaching circumcision to his assembly in Galatia, that they might as well amputate themselves. They're going to bear their judgment, whoever they be, and he could pronounce the judgment of amputation. Look at this. To amputate, reflexively, by irony, to mutilate the what? The privy parts. Yeah, because you're talking about circumcision. Paul say, go the whole way. Remove your testes and your love muscle. Was his teachings hostile toward the apostles? Absolutely, man. Look at that. You wouldn't call circumcision leaven. Even if you had a different understanding of circumcision, you wouldn't say circumcision is compared to sin. You wouldn't say, oh, if you do get circumcised, being, you know what I mean, down with Yahshua and the whole movement, then he ain't going to profit you none. You're sinful if you get circumcised. Matter of fact, those who trouble you going to bear their judgment, and those who are troubling you, I pronounce the judgment of castration and amputation in the privy parts. Oh, no, Mally, you making that up. Okay. I love to be the bearer of bad news. Y'all think I'm making that up? Watch this. Galatians 5 and 12. Read them and weep. Let's go to the different versions, just in case anybody think I'm playing. Look at this. NIV. As for those agitators, I wish they would go the whole way and emasculate themselves. They ain't talking about removing the testes and the love muscle. Look at this. I wish those who unsettle you would emasculate themselves. I wish those who are disturbing you might also let themselves be mutilated. What does it mean to emasculate? I wish that those who are troubling you would even emasculate themselves. Look at this, NET. I wish those agitators would go so far as to castrate themselves. This your boy Saul of Tarsus right here. Mr. Fruits of the Spirit. Is this man calling for the castration upon those who teach circumcision? Upon those who teach about Yahshua and his movement? As you see, just real quick, I just showed y'all Paul cursing the apostles, admitting they teach a different gospel. admitting that he was up, he refused to be in subjection to them, called them pseudo apostles, false apostles, pseudo brethren. And then when, just in case we thought that he wasn't talking about them, he started name dropping, didn't he? Didn't he name James? Didn't he name John? Didn't he name Peter? Didn't he name Cephas? Didn't he name Barnabas? He named them. He named them. What is you saying? Like, we ain't nothing else to even talk about. He naming the cats he got a problem with. So when he say such a false apostles, you ain't got to do no guesswork to figure out who he talking about. Now you know who the apostles are. And dude was something else, man. He got a lot going on. So, you know, you got to look at dude with a jaundiced eye. Don't fall for the okie doke. But again, next Friday around this time, World War III starts. Again, me, Brother Malaki Macabee versus Proorizo 1 over at the Source Debate League. And I'm coming to cook, though. I'm not even going to play with dude. You dig? It's too much hanging over Saul of Tarsus' head. I'm not even going to play. I'm coming to bomb it right out the water. I ain't going to play with it. Afterwards, after we get out the ring, we can laugh and, you know what I mean, exchange contact information. Hopefully, we can continue to build. You know what I mean? But nah, I ain't like when the bell ring, when we get in the ring, it's gloves off. I'm coming to destroy that whole get up. You understand? And it's on a Google Doc, so there's no time of me wasting clicking back and forth between slides at the bottom of my computer. It's straight. It's just me scrolling. Bing, 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 bing. Click on that link. Bomb, 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 bomb. The whole time. You know what I mean? That deal gonna be over, especially if I go first. If I go first, it's over. You know what I mean? So it's all good. And one thing I ain't doing is taking nobody, you know what I mean, lightly. So yeah, I'm in my bag, boy. I'm in my bag. What you mean? Going hard. You understand? Because that's what time it is. So all praises, glory, and honor to the ever-present creator, the all in all, that always was, is, and never shall be, the great spirit, the omnipotent, the all-powerful, sees all, knows all, the mighty creator. You understand? Love all y'all indeed and true. I pray y'all got some understanding. If y'all got some understanding, go ahead and give me a 9 up in the chat. Bless up. Yeah, I'm in the bag. I'm in the bag for that one. I told them, I said, y'all finna give me 9 days to cook this nigga? Oh, all right. All right. You gonna give me nine days out till I strike. Well, it's 7 days now. Oh, yeah, I'm about to get my bag, boy. That's the worst thing y'all could have did. Y'all should have been like, hey, yeah, because I told them I'm ready now. You dig? They wanted to say, oh, no, wait. And then dude don't even want to do 15-minute rounds. He like, man, let's just do 10. I'm like, man, dude act like he don't even want it. You dig? But I'm coming to bomb. I'm coming to bomb. I ain't even gonna play. Right out the gate. Bomb, 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 bomb. They'll be like, time. Oh, all right. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I know. I know about that. Yep, in the Panarion. Yep. Right. You know, it's a lot of people, a lot of the consensus, it's a big scholarly consensus that believes that Paul is Simon Magus, man. Simon Magus. So that's on the table too. So yeah. Y'all come check us out. It's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be real bloody. You understand? Proorizo. He ain't even ready for it though. I'm like, damn, his name Proorizo. I'm like, Proorizo. He ain't even ready for it. He don't know what he done walked into. I told Jeremiah and them, you should have been taking this debate. I called y'all out 2 years ago. You should have been taking this debate. Why is y'all gonna put y'all mans up as a sacrifice? He about to get handled quick. He ain't even know nothing about what I was talking about when we had the preliminary. He was like, oh, dang, okay, yeah. All right, dang, okay, I see that. Like, dang, is he agreeing? So, yeah, I'm coming to bomb. I ain't even gonna play with him. You dig? And then afterwards, hopefully we can gain a brother. You know what I mean? But when it's on, when the bell ring, I'm a totally different monster. I ain't taking no prisoners. None. The worst thing y'all could have did over there at that debate league is give me 9 days give me 9 days out into a coordinated strike. Is you crazy? Me? You gonna give me 9 days to strategically plan a strike? Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm bombing. It'll be bomb shrapnel left everywhere. One thing I ain't about to do, I'm not shooting nothing up. I ain't shooting nothing up. So they be like, yeah, man, this place was shot up. Oh, okay. That wasn't Macabee then. That wasn't me. You don't hear nothing but bombs from me. You dig? If I was there, it's bomb shrapnel everywhere. You understand? If I was there, bomb shrapnel. You dig? Anybody else, it may be about 1,000 rounds left out there. I ain't wasting no bullets. I'm bombing. Period. Back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Dang, stop bombing. Blitzkrieging back to back to back to back. Damn, it's not playing. He gonna have a hard time trying to prove Doula a true apostle. And then when we get to his own letters and deal with what he teaching, he name dropping. He got a problem with Yahshua brothers and them, man. Doula straight up. And the sooner we realize that, the better. You did. So I'm up out of here, family. I love all y'all indeed and in truth. You understand? Pray for me as I continue to pray for y'all. Pray for me as I continue to pray for y'all. You understand? And understand this. Only through wisdom and righteous works done unto others. You understand? Will any remedy be done to the children of the Creator? You understand? So all praises, glory, and honor. I love all y'all. You did create a gang in the building, baby. You did. You bring them, we raise them. Shout out to my Nazarites, my Nazarenes in the saints. You did. But yeah, y'all tap in with your brother next Friday, man. It's gonna be bloody. It's gonna be epic. You understand? And if he listening, you understand? If he listening, to beat me, you got to go harder than me, Jack. You understand? I don't think you got the time to I don't think you got the time to be up to 5 in the morning. I don't think you really got the dedication and the time that you understand to really dig deep down and get in that bag for real and don't get no sleep. You understand? To make sure the people have a superb situation, flawless. I don't think you got the time to really dedicate. You understand? I don't think you got the time to dedicate. You understand? It's just like my shout out to Loaded Lux, the battle rapper. You know what Loaded Lux was saying? Loaded Lux told Charlie Clips, he said and what he tell Charlie Clips, he said your willpower. He say, Chucky, baby, you just can't commit. He say, Chucky, baby, you can't commit. Your willpower is like Jaden Smith versus Jada Kiss and them flat lines. Gonna get you aired out. These ain't the retirements may go fix. This may go quick. This may go quick. This may go quick next Friday. Believe that. You understand? If it happens. You dig? But these ain't the retirements may go fix. This may go quick. Chucky, baby, what he told that boy, he say, Chucky, baby, you can't commit. Your willpower is like Jaden Smith versus Jada Kiss and them flat lines. They gonna get you aired out. These ain't the retirements may go fix. This may go quick. Ooh, wee, baby. So, you gotta out prepare me too. Like you gotta do a better job in preparation. You gotta do a better job in performance, and you gotta do a better job at being humorous. Like you gotta have it. You gotta have a whole package to deal with me, bro. Like just to be real with you. And it's all praise to the Creator. I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just saying you gotta have a whole pack. Come on with it. You dig? So if you ain't gonna out prepare me, you ain't gonna out humor me. You know what I'm saying? You definitely ain't finna bring more sources and history to me, and you ain't finna out script me with the Bible. You dig, bro? You're not going to win that. That's what I'm saying. When it's all over, get on Jeremiah and them, because he should have been the one taking that. Jeremiah, Maharakal, Karatazaya, I called y'all out 2 years ago over this matter. And then 2 years later, you're going to put your mans up that don't nobody even know for real as a sacrifice. Like, come on, bro. That's weak. You dig? But it's all good. You know what I mean? Stay over there. Stay over there. You know what I mean? It's all good. Pour a little Rizzo. We're going to have to go ahead and, get this work real quick, get this smoke, and then, we're going to give all glory to the Creator and get on up out of there. You understand? But Chucky, baby, you can't commit. Your willpower is like Jaden Smith versus Jada kissing them flat lines. They going to get you aired out. These ain't the retirements may go fix. This may go quick. Ooh, wee, baby. So look, man, all praises to the ever-present Creator, the all in all, that always was, is, and ever shall be. I love all y'all indeed in the truth. Love y'all forever and a day. You understand? Pray for me as I continue to pray for y'all. May the Creator guide and protect, strengthen, and bring wisdom to all you brothers, sisters, y'all families, your loved ones. May you be protected. You understand? Be confident in Creator and go forth fearless. You understand? Creator is undefeated. Creator gang, gang, you bring them, we raise them. Till the next time. You understand? Macabee, I'm out of this deal. Bless up, bless up, bless up.